If you've been on Twitter or Facebook recently, you've probably seen a new campaign called Kony 2012.
It's gone viral.
1 million hits per hour.
Times.
100 million people have now watched.
Social media at its best.
It's uniting people all across the world.
Is this the new way to move the world to action?
But this movie is not without critics.
Critics say the film manipulates the facts.
Simplifying the story.
Oversimplifying a wildly complex issue.
The message is too late.
Joseph Kony and his forces have been significantly reduced.
Pro-war activism.
Utterly naive to
By
think
next week, this will be a passing fad.
Let those who are professors write their books and create academic awareness, but this one grabs you by your gut and shakes you until you are forced to pay attention. That's the essence of awareness. People are now paying attention.
Awareness, number one. Number two, action and way forward.
Beaucoup de peuples congolais de ces laisses situés de cette zone, vraiment, beaucoup sont partis comme ça, ont disparu. Hein? Ils sont morts. Kony doit être arrêté.
As long as we continue giving days and months and years to Joseph Kony, we should be prepared for the worst.
The idea behind Kony 2012 is not new. In 2005, world leaders unanimously agreed at the United Nations to uphold the responsibility to protect. This states that every single person on the planet has inherent rights that should be defended against the worst crimes against humanity, first by our own countries, and then by the global community, no matter where we live. Although most of the world has agreed to this in theory, in far too many cases, we have failed to live up to our promise. But for the first time in history, the people of the world can see each other and want to protect each other. And this changes everything. This is why we made Kony 2012. And 1 month later, we are releasing this film to explain the creation of the campaign, the progress that's already been made, and what we can all do now to support the ongoing efforts to stop the violence of the LRA.
Well, first of all, I think it is incredible that this has gained a lot of attention. A lot of people have, now know about the issue than before. You cannot deny that at all. But to have millions of well-meaning but uninformed and misleading people who think about this issue is not really something that can have the kind of policy shift that is needed to accomplish anything that's sustainable in Uganda or in that area. So for me, I think the whole thing has been uninformed and oversimplified advocacy that will not really do much at all.
I've got a tweet here tonight from somebody who says, I support the Stop Kony campaign, but make sure you know where Uganda is on a map before you start acting like you're its biggest supporter. These guys talked about Uganda being in Central Africa. When you see factual inaccuracies like that, Ishmael, you know, what does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel there are these white Westerners sort of getting on a bandwagon and actually they haven't got a clue what they're talking about?
Well, I've been tweeting about this, and one of the questions I've been asking is that this approach, it does not respect the dignity of people who are coming from this experience, who have suffered through this. And it does not, as you mentioned, you know, it's not correct at all. And also, if you look at, there's a young blogger called Rosabella Kagwenda who've been talking about this from Uganda, talking about that the war in Uganda is not just about one man, it's not about Kony, it's about the marginalization of the North. If you want to become a change maker in this world that we live in, you got to be willing to dip into the complexities, the geography and histories of the places you're interested in making a change. You don't want to be handed it to you just as because it's cool. So therefore, war is not cool. As Jason Ross mentioned it, you have to find a cool way. War is nothing cool. If you're not interested in the geographies and the complexity of it, to know that it's not black and white, to delve into that, the fact that you can't glamorize this stuff, then I think you have no business in being a change maker. It's not an easy thing that you can do, feel good about it today, and then tomorrow you forget about it.
Jeffrey, when did the African community pick up on this video, and also when did the journalistic community pick up on it? And did they pick up on it because of the video or because of the popularity of the video?
No, it was the popularity. People picked up on it really fast. I think it was day 2 or 3
because it was just, you know, skyrocketing. In Africa, not that many people saw it, paid attention to it. The bandwidth and the internet speeds where I live, and I'm in Nairobi, which is like the most developed part of the region, is really bad. I can barely watch videos. So a few people in Uganda saw it, but only after the media had sort of picked up on it. Yeah, I don't think many at all, you know, especially in like Congo or Central African Republic saw it. So, you know, journalists, we were attracted to the story. I mean, initially I was a little resistant because I was like, well, I've been writing about the LRA for years. And we've done big front page stories about these massacres. And my editors had given me thousands of dollars to charter a plane to get to these areas. Like, we had put a lot of resources into it. So I was like a little frustrated. I said, well, why did these guys get to, you know, say they've discovered the LRA when we've been covering it closely? But the reality was it was a phenomenon, and there was, you know, it was like 50,000 views within 2 or 3 days, which was a record. And we wrote about it, and we didn't. It did generate, you know, some haters and some critics, and that's, you know, you'll be a better person than me to talk about that. But that. We focused a little about that, but the story that we did in our paper, and it was a front page New York Times story, was about, you know, the sort of power of social media, the force multipliers of the celebrities. That's a big reason why you got all those hits, is because a few people with big followings put it out, and that kind of spread the word.
Twitter, mostly Twitter.
And Facebook, I mean, yeah, and it really, you know, multiplied all the people that were going to see it. And I think, you know, the big issue was, did they oversimplify it? Did they skew, you know, this conflict? Did they not do justice to the complexities? That was the main thrust of the criticism, was that. And I disagreed with it. You know, I work for the New York Times. I get more space. I have a different audience. But I oversimplify things all the time. You know, it's like that's what we do. That's my job, is to go to these places, spend a week or two, talk to 1 million people, do the research, and then boil it down into this piece that does not do justice to the emotions or the history or the background. And that's what I got to live with. And at times it's very frustrating. So I was very sympathetic to your mission, which was to try to reach a lot of people. It is mass media. You're trying to reach the masses, as Bobby was saying. You know, and if you made it too complicated, maybe you'd lose some. I think the lesson I took away is you need, like, I write very defensively, because people love to find fault with the New York Times and send in a nasty, you know, little message saying you need to run a correction because you got this little fact wrong or that wrong. And we deflect this stuff all the time. And you have to have a thick skin. I mean, here I am risking my life to go to these places, and somebody's going to complain about something really trivial. And it's like, well, you go there, you know?